Look at me, I'm doing an unboxing. I've been watching Southpaw Davy doing his mushroom kits and decided I wanted to try another one if I ever get into this box. A number of years ago I did one, and it came from the west coast, from British Columbia. Can't remember just where. I think it was a type of oyster mushroom, if I remember rightly. It was a lot of fun. I've recently started following What the Fungi. He's on the west coast, so I asked him if he sold kits, and he didn't say whether he did or he didn't, I guess. He just said that there is somebody here in my province, in New Brunswick, a company that sells kits, and gave me the name, so I went looking for it, Googled it, whatever. As many of you probably know, I live on an island in the Bay of Fundy, F-U-N-D-Y, Fundy. The company that I bought this from, if we get into the box or not, calls their company Bayoffungi. Cute little play on words. Well, I'll die of old age before I get into the box. They sell 3 different kinds of mushrooms in their kits. Blue oyster, pink oyster, and one called lion's mane, which I don't think I'd ever heard tell of before. What I went with is pink oyster, and bayoffungi.ca if anybody's interested. I'll also put the link down below. I'm sure they'll ship anywhere in Canada, but if you're here in the Atlantic provinces, you're quite close. Yeah, a little sticker on here says I got the pink oyster. Lion's mane looked really strange to me if you want to look it up online. Probably a delicious mushroom, but I didn't think I'd try it first. I may order a kit later. And I was just Googling and looking at the different kinds, the blue oyster and the pink oyster, and probably the blue oyster is as easy to grow as the pink one is, but for some reason one of the websites that I looked at said that pink oyster was the easiest one for someone just growing oyster mushrooms for the first time to try. So that settled it. I'm going to try pink oyster, and I'll keep this video going until I harvest my first bunch of oysters. I've got some instructions to read, and then I'll come back and show you how we get it started. Well, just so we'll know how long it actually takes before I get the first edible mushrooms, this is March 25th, and I'm about to start the kit. Hopefully I don't block your view here too much. I've had a look inside last evening. This is day 2, obviously, I guess. It arrived yesterday. And there were these nice set of instructions inside. They say it shouldn't be difficult at all to get 2 flushes of mushrooms by turning the bag around and slicing the other side open, which you'll see what I mean in a minute here, hopefully. And then they give lots of great instructions for extending the life, maybe even longer than that. So I'll give you a look at what it looks like inside here. That's the bag, and it's well colonized. All of that white is mycelium, which is the word that is used, I guess, for what would be roots on mushrooms. Mushrooms don't have roots. They're a fungus, not a plant. So they have these little mycelium, and the mixture in there is well colonized. It mentioned this thing here. It's not just a label, they've written on it, but it's also it allows air to get inside, and I presume also filters so that other nasties can't get in there. Anyway, I'll put that aside for just a moment. I have it sitting on a plate that was suggested. You probably can't see the perforations, but the spot here for take it. Okay, there's that. Remove that. I'll put the bag back in. You know it has to go back in, right? Yes, there it goes. It turns out that my kitchen is probably going to be an ideal place to grow them. It says not in direct sunlight, but in a brightly lit area next to windows, and my kitchen here is quite bright. Also, just accidentally, the temperature that I keep my house at this time of year is ideal. My house is at 17 degrees in the daytime, and I have thermostats that automatically reset. At 10 o'clock at night, it lowers the temperature, or at least the temperature gradually drops back to 10 degrees overnight and comes back up to 17 in the daytime. And they say an ideal temperature range is 10 to 18 degrees Celsius. So what you do now is cut an X with a clean knife. I have just cleaned this knife. In the plastic there. Don't remove the plastic, I don't think, but I'm going to give it some room to grow. And that is where the mushroom should grow. And all you do is spray it with water 2 or 3 times a day, and probably this time of year, in the Canadian household anyway, a little more frequently, because the atmosphere here is still very dry in the wintertime. All you're trying to do is to keep this area moist at all times, and that will enhance the growing of the mushrooms. So there it is, started on the 25th of March, and I'll bring you back as soon as I see tiny little mushrooms starting. It's now April 2nd, and I've been expecting, if I was going to see mushrooms, you can see the cut that I made, the X-shaped cut. I've been expecting to see something in this area, and all of a sudden I noticed this up here. I hope that's in focus so that you can see it, but I think that's the first pin mushroom starting, and I don't know if these ones will show as well or not, but here and here, and maybe a little bit right there, there's also some. Day 2. And I can see where it has grown. Well, it's probably more than doubled in size since yesterday. Unfortunately, I went and sprayed it. You're supposed to keep spraying this before taking the video. So you've got drops of water to compete with, but the largest cluster is still here. And there's one there, and some down in here again along this line, and now there's 1 or 2 down in here. So there are more developing all the time. Well, it's day 3, April the 4th. And as you can see here, they've started to push out the plastic where I cut that X in there. So they've definitely grown, well, I don't know, they've doubled, but they've grown a lot since yesterday. And the other ones you can see along the line where I cut are also larger. And I'm seeing some starting to develop up in there. So day 4 here, April 5th. And this cluster in particular, which I guess was the first ones that I noticed, really grew quite a bit in the last 24 hours. They all have. There's the ones along the seams and the ones up in here. They've all developed quite a bit. I'm just not sure if I should remove the plastic flap, like this is, I just cut an X in it, or if those ones up there will just push their way out eventually, or what I should do. Maybe I should send an email to the Bay of Fungi and get my question answered. This is day 5, April the 6th. I did send an email off to bayoffungi.ca, and they got back to me promptly. and nothing to be concerned about, I guess. As you can already see, this bunch here, which is getting larger, is shoving the plastic out, and he said not to worry about these ones up here. They will make their way out of there. That little micro filter thing that I was showing you when I had it out of the bag there, he said if it's left too long before, you know, cutting a space like this for the mushrooms to come out, they've actually seen mushrooms start to come out through the tiny little holes in that. So no worry, just get out of the way. I guess it's going to produce mushrooms. It's April the 7th, day 6 since they started to grow, and as you can see there, they really put on a lot of growth in the last 24 hours. Evidently, like with plants, fungus must work in a similar way, I guess. The larger they get, the faster they grow. So it is amazing. All of that growth is in 1 week from the time that I saw the first tiny little pinhead mushroom starting. And it definitely is growing more each day. The larger that they get, it grows much larger compared to what it was doing prior, if you know what I mean. Hands in there, you can see the size of them, but it's got quite a bit of growing to do yet before they'll be ready to harvest, but it is very impressive and a lot of fun to watch. Day number 8, and they're really starting to look more like mushrooms. You can see where they're separating out individually here into mushrooms. Day 9, and they're really more pink now. For a while there I thought they would be better called red oyster mushrooms, but as they're getting larger, the color is getting lighter. Day 10, I really think I can see where it grew a lot in the last 24 hours. They're quite firm, because I don't have any idea what they're supposed to be like when they're finished, other than I have looked at online at photos, and I would call that less than half grown. So, but it is growing faster now, so it'll probably only be a few more days. Day 11, as you can see, there's been more growth. I thought I would give you a different shot of it and show it to you side on. Just to give you a bit of a better idea of what's there, I guess. Day 12. A bit later in the day than I usually take the clip, so perhaps there's a bit more growth there. Day 13, and I still don't know when I should harvest these, but I think tomorrow is going to be the last day, or at least for part of them or most of them or something. I don't want to wait too long and be disappointed, but there's still, well, there are some that are getting a good size and some that are still fairly small in there, but I think for my first batch I will harvest them tomorrow. It's day 14, and I'm going to harvest the first cluster, I guess. I really don't know if I should wait longer or not, but they're getting to be a fair size and I don't want to see them start to spoil. So I really don't know how to harvest them either. I'm just going to take a knife and see if I can cut down in behind them. Okay, that worked quite well, I guess. Keep right on going here. Probably can't see what I'm doing because I've got an arm in the way, haven't I? Oh, there we are. They're off. And now I'm going to weigh them to see what I got for weight. I guess you can read that. I got a little over 6.5 ounces, or just dropped down to exactly 6.5 ounces there now. The instructions say out of the 2 flushes of mushrooms that you will get out of the kit, or the 2 initial flushes, they give you some good instructions to how to get even more. You should get roughly a pound, so that would have been 8 ounces if I was accurate, 8 ounces of them with each of the flushes of mushrooms. But so maybe I should have left them a little longer. Anyway, we'll see. Maybe I'll let the next batch, I won't do another long video like this, but I'll let the next batch go a little longer and get a little larger. And I have plans for these, but I won't bother put it on this video. I'll do my next video will be the plans that I have for how to cook these and what I plan to do with them. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you lasted all the way through to the end here.